name is Bob Cucinato. I live in Richardson, and I'm hopeful that I don't participate in your emergency preparedness plan. My question is, when you're doing an analysis, are you looking for certain things that certain gotchas, like, for instance, if all these plants are built, is there enough uranium? You know, we've heard about peak oil, we've heard about all this. You know, is there a supply that will support the construction in total of these plants? Secondly, on the spent fuel, you look, because I'm told that there's limited, in the current way we're storing fuel, there's limited capacity. You look at what happens when you reach that limit, and, you know, do you have sort of like a scenario that is a viable scenario when you do reach the limit?
Thank you. Barry just talked about how the uranium fuel cycle there's provisions for dealing with those issues, and those are both fuel cycle issues. In other words, where's the uranium coming from? What's going to happen with the spent fuel? There's a lot of moving parts to that question. Mike, do you want to talk a little bit about this, and then we'll go to Barry for supplement, or do we just want to go to Barry? And Barry, you know what this gentleman's concerns are, so please address them.
Let me address at the front end of the fuel cycle. Is there enough uranium to power these facilities? There are obviously questions. And if you take a look at the uranium sources that we have mined in the United States, there was a diminishing need for those resources. Some of the activities have ceased in some areas. The reality is they are growing again. We have had applications inside the agency in the process to create manufacturing facilities under NRC review, and we're processing those applications as well. Some of them are actually under construction. There's a variety of different resources to burn fuel in a power reactor. What does that mean? This is you burn coal, and this produces heat, and therefore steam and drives turbines. The same thing happens with reactor fuel as well. You're burning the fuel. We have had situations in the United States where we're talking about blending down alternate radioactive materials, such as use of a weapons grade material. Bring that back into, or take it out of the weapons arena and bring it back into commercial uses. So there are projects that were going on in the East dealing with mixed oxide, plutonium oxide fuel to go along with uranium oxide. So there are a variety of issues. Let me talk about the water issue in the state of Texas. Is all the water accounted for? All the water is accounted for in the state of Texas. Most of the water is accounted for in the state of Texas. Anybody that has water rights can sell those water rights. And it's just a matter of what are the financial resources needed. Likewise, if there is a greater demand for any resource, the supply will come based upon their willingness to invest in capturing those supply. Just as it is with natural gas, the price goes up, more people are interested in getting the natural gas out of the ground. Prices may go up to provide those resources. But the expectation is the resources will be there to operate these facilities. In terms of what happens to the fuel after it's been used in the facility, that's a question. What do you do with spent fuel and high-level waste? And some of those are technical issues, and I can tell you some of them are political issues. The reality is nuclear materials, waste materials, are stored safely. The amount of nuclear waste with that table, and underneath that table you could probably store the spent fuel after a single reactor cycle. That's how much fuel that would come out of that reactor. That is the spent fuel that would come out of a power reactor after operating for a full cycle, which could be close to 2 years. That is managed safely. We have spent fuel pools, which are wet storage facilities inside these reactors. And when they need additional space, there are mechanisms inside the agency's regulatory practice to deal with dry storage. So you may hear about casks. I think we've had some information for sure on the back of the table that will give you some insights on how to deal with these spent fuel issue. The Commission has had to deal with this issue and has had some deliberations starting in the 80s and recently in the 90s on whether or not we have confidence that we can manage spent fuel safely. We had a spokesman on that, according to our regulations, again, 5123. It is the Commission's waste confidence decision. But they have confidence that there will be a high-level waste repository during the first quarter of this century. Every now and again, the Commission does revisit that issue, depending upon new factors. Recently, there was a request to revisit that issue, and the Commission looked at that as part of a petition to change the regulation. So the Commission's on record for indicating that if things change, they will look at it. We have just received the application for the government project from the Department of Energy earlier this month. We're evaluating that. It's part of the national resolution of how to deal with spent fuel, high-level waste. So we deal with the front end of the process, keep this fuel available. We also deal with the back end of the process where we